everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a very cash setup. I'm using my vlogging camera to record this video because it was out, it had full battery, and I'm just making this quite a chilled vid. Got myself a Moroccan mint tea. Question number 1 on the Q&A, what is your favourite tea? Moroccan mint. I actually prefer it to peppermint. I don't know why, I think it's like a slightly sweeter mint flavour, taste, scent. In today's video, I thought it would be nice to do a Q&A, which I did say in last week's video, and I asked you guys to leave a comment on my most recent Instagram picture with your questions. So I have gone through and I've selected any that I thought would be nice to answer. What did you pick for your GCSEs and why? Gosh, that was a really long time ago now. So I picked, aside from the standard ones you had to take, which was like science, English, maths, RE, the 4 that I picked were French, business studies, art and textiles. I was actually really happy with my GCSE choices. At this point, I had no idea what I wanted to do or where I wanted these to take me, or had any idea what I wanted to pick for A-levels. But I was really happy with those choices because I enjoyed those subjects a lot, and that was mainly why I picked them. Business studies was a bit of a weird one. I'm not sure why I picked that. I think I thought I'm gonna want to create my own business at some point because I don't want to go to uni. Therefore, I should have a little bit of business knowledge under my belt. It was the most useless GCSE. I learnt nothing in that. I think maybe my teacher just wasn't the best. But yeah, I couldn't tell you anything I learnt in business studies, GCSE, if I'm honest. I did get a C though, so wasn't too bad. What did I get in French? I think I got a C in French, or maybe a B, which I wasn't hugely disappointed with. However, I had been learning French since I was about 8 or 9 years old, and at this point I was 16, so, you know, half my life I'd been learning French, and now I still couldn't speak French to you, which I don't understand. It's almost like my brain is a sieve when it comes to other languages. It's something I would really like to pick back up, but I was doing French for 8 years. How am I not fluent in French? I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed with myself, if I'm honest. I don't think I really took it that seriously, and I thought it was a bit uncool, and I thought it wouldn't be something I would ever need in life, so I didn't give it my full attention, I think. Which is a shame, because now as a 28-year-old, I would really like to be able to say I could speak 2 languages, and I can't. I know very basic French, and I'm a bit gutted about that. I think I got an A star in art and an A in textiles, so I was happy with that. How do you cope balancing work, family and fans into your everyday life? I don't really think about like viewers as having to fit into my everyday life, because if I happen to be walking down the street and I bump into somebody, that's not something I'm like fitting in, that's just something that tends to happen. But fitting in family life and like friends and work is much harder, because as I get more and more busy and live more and more of an adult lifestyle and have responsibilities like paying bills and a pet, you do get less time for those things, and I think that's quite apparent. Like, you have all, if you've stuck around for a while, you've all kind of grown up with a lot of us YouTubers, and you've seen that change happening where people kind of stay a bit more in their own lane and focus a lot more on what they're doing and building their own lives, and when you become an adult, that is just something you have to do, which obviously is enjoyable, but it does mean that you spend less time with friends, or you have to plan time in with your family, and as I don't actually live near my family, I do have to plan that time, and when my calendar is really full, that often means overlapping sometimes. So if I've got a really busy week on, it's actually quite nice if like my mum is here kind of helping out, or just being around, so that in those little moments I do get where we can sit down and have dinner or watch my favourite TV programme in the evening, she's there too, and that's quite nice. And the same with friends, and a lot of my friends are busy and we're all doing the same thing, but that one is a lot harder to try and juggle, and I am the sort of person that quite likes to bounce off other people's energy. So if I find that I've not spent time with a friend or my family, or, you know, someone outside of like our family life, like myself and Alfie and Nala, I do find that I start to be a bit more withdrawn. So I do think it's very important, even if you have the most busy schedule and busy like work life, that you set time aside to see your family and make effort to meet up with friends when you can, and really like utilize that time. It's almost like a bit of a battery recharge, and I really like it. But it does get more difficult to balance as you get older. So if you're watching this and you're still in school, make the most of that time where after every day the bell goes and you're like, what shall I do this evening? I don't know, should we all go down to the rec and hang out at the field? That time, you will not get that time back. When did you get your second ear piercing? Did it hurt? And also, what made you do it? So I got my second ear piercing in April last year. It was very last minute spontaneous decision, which is really not like me at all, and I felt quite like proud of myself for doing it. I had wanted to get a second piercing for quite a while. I liked my original piercing, but I much prefer to feel like I have a lot more going on my ears. One day when we went to stay with Tanya and Jim, Tom was like, yeah, I think I might go and get my third ear pierced. A third hole put into my ear. So me, Alfie and Tan literally jumped in a taxi and went to Liberty, went to Maria Tash and got a piercing. But yeah, I don't know, I think I was just feeling really spontaneous that day. I'm glad I did it. I was a little bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie, only because I couldn't remember what it felt like to have my ears pierced. I think I was like 13 or 14 when I had mine done, so that was a wee while ago. Is it okay not to know what you want to do with your future? I feel like I may have mentioned this before, but growing up, one of my biggest things that I dealt with internally was not knowing what I wanted to do when I grew up. I had people around me, friends, other school, like classmates or other people I was at school with, who all had a very clear path and a very clear vision of where they wanted to go in their life and in their careers. And whether that was quite short term or extremely long term, I felt like everyone around me knew what it was that they A, wanted to do, or B, kind of really enjoyed. So they at least had a very clear path to go down, and I hated that I didn't have that, and no amount of sitting down and really thinking about it ever made it come to me. And that was very frustrating and very scary, because you're so aware that you need to grow up and you need to become an adult and you need to move out of your parents' home. And I feel like I had a very isolated view of the world. I didn't really know how much houses cost, or that you could rent a house, or I just didn't know these things, and they weren't teaching us them in school. We didn't learn about mortgages and, you know, buying a car or buying your first house, or even things like becoming self-employed or going down a slightly different career route that wasn't just going to uni and writing a personal statement. So that was very scary. Although at the time I felt like I was the only one, I do feel like this is a huge thing, especially when you get to the age of like 13, 14, 15, 16, when you have to start making those decisions like, what GCSEs do you want to take? Because instantly you're like, is this going to affect my future? Yes, it is in some way, although maybe not so much as you think it will. That doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? I was picking subjects I enjoyed and that I thought would be useful. And I enjoyed school, I really did. I enjoyed my subjects. I had great friends and we had an amazing time. In fact, I look back at school and I only really have fond memories, which is so lucky and so rare, and I'm really pleased about that. But I just have that kind of memory of feeling the kind of drop in the pit of your stomach, like waking up every day thinking, what's my life gonna be and what is my career going to be, because I know what I like, but I don't know if that's what I want to do. I think it's perfectly okay to feel that way, because I bet there's so many other people that feel that way as well. And in life, things kind of happen how they're meant to happen, and you will slot into something, whether you then discover that's not for you or it helps you to discover what is for you, and then you kind of move on from there. But I think it was the kind of daunting, I need to know now, which I guess you don't always need to know. It's more about experience and finding out for yourself, I think.